Ladies and
It is
gentlemen,
election day in
it's
America.
primary day. It's election day in the United States of America in numerous states, Kentucky, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, to name a few, and we are getting ready to rumble.
Holy Toledo.
Philly, go out and vote. Georgia, go out and vote. Kentucky, go out and vote. Charles Booker, but also maybe Thomas Massey. I don't know. You know. Holy Toledo, folks. I'm going to go pee real quick while this plays.
Quite a few states right now, polls are open. In Georgia, Alabama, Pennsylvania, and Kentucky, a race with huge stakes and major amounts of money.
President Trump, I'm told by his advisors, has been fixated on this contest. He, of course, has been trying to unseat Thomas Massey for more than a year or so. Well, last night we caught up with the congressman to ask him about the nationalization of this race.
This race has been nationalized, as you well know, talking about the revenge tour and the revenge list. Do you think that that's how voters here in Kentucky see this race?
I don't think so. They don't know what happened to Bill Cassidy or to those senators in Indiana. And both of those situations are unique from mine. Bill Cassidy voted to impeach the president. That's something I've never done and I would never do. And his constituents were mad about that, right?
God, I fucking love Thomas Massey so much. He is such a freak, dude. What a rare bird he is. He's like, I'm so much more MAGA than Bill Cassidy. I would never vote to impeach Donald Trump. It's awesome. It's awesome. He's so awesome. Libertarian final boss? Absolutely. You American fuckers love nationalizing your elections, but not your healthcare services? I mean, we don't even have any fucking healthcare services. Let's be real. We're talking about Kentucky.
I'm still with my constituents. In spite of the billionaires spending millions of dollars to convince them I'm not, I think most of my constituents know that because I've been at this 14 years. I haven't changed at all.
So that, of course, is an interesting point there. Congressman Massey has long been opposed to spending bills. He's long been a bit of a contrarian. The Republican Party has changed dramatically during this time, of course, during the Donald Trump presidency. But this is one of the most, if not the most expensive House primaries ever. More than $30 million spent. I'm on the race here and talking to voters. There's a sense of exhaustion as well. But, Sarah, this is
now officially the most expensive primary race in the history of the United States of America. Number 2 and number 3 were Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush. Now, what's the connective tissue there? Why? Why is the number 1 most expensive primary race in the history of the United States of America and the number 2 most expensive primary race and the number 3 most expensive primary race in the history of American elections? What could it be? What is the thing that connects Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, 2 Democrats, and Thomas fucking Massey? That's right. It's Israel. It's just broad fucking daylight. They are literally subverting the democratic process. A foreign lobby for a foreign state. The number 1 ally of the United States of America. Okay? Small nation, tiny nation, size of New Jersey, surrounded by scary Muslims. That's what it is. No politics here. Do not say Israel is buying seats. How dare you? How dare you say Israel buying seats? Bob Burks is a very interesting candidate because he's been able to combine the forces of Josh Shapiro and also Bernard Sanders. My man looks like he's right out of Pawn Stars. He's awesome. Meanwhile, Haaretz literally confirms that the Kentucky primary is for Israel. The most consequential Republican primary for Israel is happening in Kentucky. At some point, we got to be like, this is a little fucked up, no? What will it take? What will it take, folks? When will Americans wake the fuck up to what's going on? I mean, this is totally ridiculous. It is totally ridiculous. It's happening in broad daylight. It's almost as perverse. It's almost as perverse and as ridiculous as Donald Trump taking $1.7 billion of taxpayer revenue from the IRS to spend however he sees fit. Okay? We're there. It's happening in broad fucking daylight. It's highway robbery, and people are just sleepwalking. Donald Trump doing, 58 trades a day since the beginning of 2026. How did that happen? People who got real mad about Nancy and Paul Pelosi, myself included, I was mad about that too, and you should be mad about that. It's perfectly valid to be upset that, congresspersons are trading on non-publicly available information, and yet no such consideration is given to the president when he's doing it in broad daylight. What are we doing? What's going on? Actually, not to get all Tucker Carlson here, but what the fuck's going on? We're not a country. We're not. If you allow foreign lobbies to buy and sell seats like this without any pushback whatsoever, you can't be a country. You're not. We're not a country. The United States of America is no longer a country. It's just a holdover state for corporate interests. Corporate interests that can come in and buy elections, foreign lobbies that can come in and buy elections. It's basically now, an Israeli-owned casino. Shout out Miriam Adelson. It's ridiculous.
And now Democrats are trying to take it back. And that's really the marquee race on the ballot here, is which Democrat is going to step up and try and unseat this Republican incumbent. The Democrats are Bob Brooks, Ryan Crosswell, Lamont McClure, and Carol Obando de Stern. And the key thing here is that one of those candidates, although it's really a toss-up at this point, one of those candidates has gotten the endorsement of Governor Josh Shapiro. You see plenty of ads here in Pennsylvania as well. Bob Brooks is that candidate. He's a firefighter in this area, and you cannot see an ad without him and also Governor Josh Shapiro. That influence by the popular Democratic governor in the state really is on display here. So those are the two storylines that we're going to be watching if that candidate, Shapiro's chosen candidate, really can end up running up the scoreboard here. But meanwhile, Sarah, when it comes to the voters here, they're really still laser focused on just those issues of affordability. I want you to listen to one voter I spoke with who's a small business owner here in Allentown, and she's thinking about how hard it is for her young staff.
I think when you look at how expensive everything is for them just to even get started, I feel a sense of responsibility to provide not just a great place to work, but a great place to make a living. And that is a real challenge right now, to watch young people want to build a future that they're unsure of.
And does it feel like DC is helping that right now?
No, not at all.
You can hear right there, Sarah, that voter Stephanie. She's out here voting because things are really expensive and hard. I passed by a gas station here in Allentown, $4.89 a gallon. Those are the issues that are really bringing voters.
If Massey loses, do you think it has enough of an impact to disillusion people? No, it means that people are totally in a drunken stupor. If Thomas Massey wins today, that's a huge fucking blow. That means no amount of moneyed interest, no amount of cultish thinking that is in the core of the Republican Party, that's like anchoring the entire base at this point, is enough to unseat someone who's actually, fought for his own moral convictions and said, I'm not gonna compromise on my values. If Israel and Trump in unison wins here, which, by the way, is not unexpected, okay? It shows something about the state of Republicans. And no, not independents, state of Republicans. Because we're talking about the Republican primary. I believe it's a closed primary in Kentucky. It says that the base is completely a cult, 100% a cult. Okay? It's just totally a cult. It's not it's not necessarily a bad thing from our perspective. In some ways, it's terrifying how cultish it is, but it's a cult that is getting smaller and smaller. So from that perspective, I think it's beatable. One example I will use is the Ken Paxton endorsement, right? In Texas, Ken Paxton is a polarizing figure, not just for the Democrats, but amongst Republicans as well. But he's full MAGA. And Donald Trump endorsed Ken Paxton today. Ken Paxton actually performs worse against James Tallarico than Cornyn, right? And now that Donald Trump is boosting Ken Paxton, this actually improves James Tallarico's chances. So you will see potential flips in areas that we never thought were possible to flip because of the way that Trump is moving. Trump is very clearly mustering up all the fucking forces. Okay? He's saying, this is my party. It doesn't matter. I care about ideological loyalty. I care about loyalty to me more than anything else. I don't care about the performance of the party at all. I only care about making sure that my guys are winning. You know how the Democrats have done a similar thing for, maintaining the corporate control over the party? Something that caused them to lose over and over again. Something that might even cause them to lose in the upcoming midterms in areas where they could potentially win, right? That's what Trump is doing, but for himself. This is how you lose. This is how you lose. This is how you lose elections that you could possibly win. When there is unilateral control over the future of the party in the hands of one fucking egomaniacal madman, or a national party that chooses to defend corporate interests, even when the warning signs are right there. For the Democratic Party, they lost the election because they refused to lean into the demands being made by the masses as far as more bold, more radical changes in the economy that would help the working class, or their unbelievable loyalty to the nation state of Israel as it was engaging in heinous war crimes and doing a genocide. That loyalty caused people to stay at home. That loyalty is the reason why people didn't vote for the Democratic Party and Trump won.
This has been a nasty race when you talk about the governor's race. In fact, look at some of the ads that have been hitting the airways over the last 60 days or so.
Creepy Rick Jackson and Big Baby Burt Jones are too busy slinging mud at each other to care about you.
In politics, some makeovers are only skin deep. Meet Rick Jackson. Before the primary, he made a few changes. A new look, a new story.
We're incredibly grateful for his leadership and his friendship and his knowledge. Thank you again, Rick, for all that you do for Georgia.
When you see Bert's new attack ads, remember, he doesn't believe them either.
Yes, Sarah, people across the country may not know this. We have a very popular governor here in the state, and he's actually stepping to the side. Now it's Burt Jones versus Rick Jackson. Those two have been locked in the battle that's really locked up the...
Are all American political ads like these? Yes, there has been a significant devolution, significant regression as far as every facet of American existence. And certainly the utilization of AI in campaign ads was an expected move in the wrong direction. Yes, there is a degradation of public discourse, no consensus reality. We're unbelievably fucked.
Airways, when it comes to commercials, people are sort of out there casting the vote to see who the next governor could be on that Republican side. And then, of course, you talked about the Democratic race in terms of the governor. You have Keisha Lance Bottoms, who in all the polls seems to be leading. Of course, there's a lot of conversation about what's going to happen under her because, of course, whoever doesn't get that 50% vote that they need could have a runoff, which happens next month. I will tell you, though, the people here have been energized about this vote. We've seen a lot of folks show up early in other polling centers, and I've actually talked to a few other reporters. They've seen a steady path of people who are casting their ballots pretty early this morning. It should be interesting to watch throughout the day.
Bill Cassidy in Louisiana lost his primary. He famously voted to convict President Trump in his second impeachment. Thomas Massie now is going up against Gal Ryan here. What do you make of this race? And what does Cassidy's loss, could that mean anything for Massie?
Yeah, look, what is the overarching theme here? And that is Donald Trump may have problems with the center of the electorate in American politics, but among Republicans, he is still king. He is still very, very popular. You mess with Trump, you go in the grinder. I mean, you can see that in his overall approval rating with Republicans, right? It's somewhere 82, 83% on average. That is higher at this point in the second term than either Barack Obama was with Democrats back in 2014, and certainly way higher than George W. Bush was at this point with Republicans back in 2006. I'll note Grinder, by the way, going in the grinder. That's a quote from Good Burger. I love that movie. But what is, what's so important here is what happened in Louisiana. Will that necessarily hold in Kentucky? Maybe, maybe not. But Bill Cassidy's performance on Saturday night, I went back through all the spreadsheets that I possibly could, looking at every single primary that an incumbent senator had just after World War II, back in 1946. Bill Cassidy's 25% was the weakest performance of any incumbent senator in a primary. Again, I don't think.
Yeah, Trump is God. Okay, for MAGA, which is the entirety of the Republican Party, Donald Trump is God. He is no longer just like a political figure. He is a deity. Okay, you have to look at current modern day Republican voters as a cult. That's it. I genuinely think at this point, if Donald Trump turned around and said that he is a communist, we could have a communist party in this country. That is the level of influence Donald Trump has over his base. Okay, Donald Trump tomorrow could be like, I am a communist. I love communism. It's Trumplander. Yes. The Republican Party is completely at the mercy of Donald Trump. Okay? Bill Cassidy's a fucking demon. Yes, I hate Bill Cassidy. I don't give a shit about Bill Cassidy. But the reality of the matter is, seemingly, Republicans don't give a shit about Bill Cassidy either. Okay? They will drop any and every person that they have consistently voted for. That's why the Kentucky race is important. The Kentucky primary for Thomas Massie is unbelievably important. It's unbelievably important because Thomas Massie is not even like Bill Cassidy, right? Bill Cassidy has had his woke moments, which Republicans love punishing regardless. Thomas Massie is not woke at all. Thomas Massie is 90% of the way with Donald Trump. Thomas Massie is more MAGA than Trump is. Okay? So at this point, is MAGA a definable set of opinions and ideology and policies? Or is MAGA just whatever Donald Trump likes? Okay? And whatever Donald Trump hates is no longer MAGA. That's the question taking shape within the Republican Party primaries in Kentucky. Okay? I personally believe it's a cult. This is an important moment because if Thomas Massie wins, that means that there is actually a fissure within the base of MAGA, where there are at least enough Republicans that are capable of looking at individual policies and saying, look, I love Trump. I love Massie. Massie did great with the Epstein stuff. He did great with Israel. I agree with him. At least for that district in Kentucky, we can figure out whether or not there is anything redeemable about the Republican Party, or not necessarily redeemable, but is there something salvageable? Because if there is a real fissure there, if Thomas Massie wins the primaries, that means there is at least a fissure that can be exploited. Okay? If Thomas Massie loses the primaries, it's fucking over. There's no better indication. I mean, that paired up with Bill Cassidy, paired up with all the other things that have taken place, it's done. Israel and Donald Trump can just, at least on the Republican side, destroy the candidacy, destroy the legacy and the impact of any Republican, no matter how loyal they are. Okay? That's what we're going to find out today. I hope Thomas Massie wins, because that means I hope Thomas Massie wins, because if Thomas Massie wins, that means that there is a deep fissure within the base where, for the first time ever, maybe regardless of their cultish attitude, regardless of their dear leader praise, there are certain things that the base of support within MAGA still sees and can make individual changes on. That means that there is, like, there is a little bit of hope to lean into that deep fissure, right? Not that it matters, for the record, because even if Thomas Massie loses, MAGA is fully established as a cult. However, even if it's fully established as a cult, it's still defeatable, okay? It's up to the Democrats to actually defeat them. Why are we hoping for hogs to be less hog-like? Fuck them. No. You're misunderstanding. That means you can snap some of these hogs out of their drunken stupor. That's what I mean.
Even if Thomas Massie loses tomorrow, he'll do that poorly. But that shows you, along with Trump's popularity within the Republican ranks, what type of wave.
It's always better if Trump's base is not at 37%, but at like 30%. Do you understand? That's why I'm saying I'm hoping for a Massie win in the Republican primaries here, because that means there is a chance that the bottom is not firmly established at like 35%, but maybe sub 30%. That's huge. The smaller the Trump train is, the smaller the Trump cult is, the easier it is to defeat them, especially considering how unbelievably fucking weak the Democratic Party is. Okay? The Democrats are weak. They're feckless. They're refusing to fight. Or when they do want to fight, they only want to fight against people like ourselves, people on their left flank. They're not ready to fucking fight against fascism. They don't even want to admit that fascism is here in this country. Okay? It's that simple. Can I be controversial? Is there anything you think Trump has done right that warrants credit? Yes, of course. I've been very clear on this. What do you mean? Like what he did in China in the Beijing summit, I glazed the shit out of it. I think it's the appropriate, it is weirdly sober analysis, unexpected from Donald Trump. I thought he was going to continue warmongering, continue his China hawkery, but Donald Trump sometimes will cut away from the established uniparty blob mentality when it comes to certain aspects of foreign policy, right? Now, this can be dangerous and damaging. He'll lean into some of the worst in some of the worst aspects and some of the worst ambitions of foundations for defending democracy, like pro-Israeli think tanks when it comes to dealing with Iran. Massive defeat, right? And has been horrible. It's a spectacular quagmire that Donald Trump forced the United States into, and it was totally avoidable, right? Iran was absolutely ready to negotiate. They made that very clear. They actually leaned into American demands, like maximalist demands. Donald Trump could have gotten a better deal than the JCPOA from the American perspective, from the American side, and he didn't do that, right? He didn't do that because he was, he was being used like a flesh puppet by Israel. Terrible. In China, on the other hand, there are plenty of think tanks that want to wage war against China, continue sending even more and more weapons to Taiwan, really expand on that, really exhaust those tensions, right? Like really foment tension between Chinese Taipei and Taiwan and mainland China, right? Donald Trump's not doing that, though, because in a weird way, he does actually respect power. And and recognizes that when he tries to wage war, like the tariff war that he tried to wage against China, and he fails, he's like, oh shit, China had hands. I need to be a little bit more restrained.
Well, I think this is politics. Welcome to it. And this is, and talking about money, this is almost as much money as the Democrats burned in Virginia doing a bad idea on reapportionment. But that said, I think that Thomas Massie will have his day in court today, and we'll see the verdict. And I'm interested to see it just like everyone else.
I do think it's interesting, though, when you see the defense secretary there in a time of war, and when you look specifically.
Dude, yeah. I mean, you can't write a funnier situation, okay? Donald Trump, at the behest of Israel, is waging war with Iran, and the fucking defense secretary, in the midst of that battle that he's in, is going out there to unseat a fucking Republican congressperson who's against this war, which, by the way, so are many of the fucking voters. Like, it's hilarious. It's awesome. Like, what the fuck are you doing? I can't believe I'm agreeing with this animal, but I saw, it wasn't Laura Ingraham, it was fucking Ann Coulter make a statement about this where I was like, she's right. Ann Coulter was literally chirping about this, where she was like, what are we fucking doing here? Like, what's going on? What's happening? Where is it? Let me see if I can find the actual statement. Yeah, only 43% of Republican supporters think the Iran war will be worth the cost. Only 55% want the next GOP president to follow Trump's lead, but 80% approve of Trump's job performance on immigration. That's his highest number. She's saying, get back to the basics, be racist. Where is it? Where the fuck's the statement? Yeah, the war with Iran is existential. I can't believe I liked an Ann Coulter tweet so I could bring it up on stream. The war with Iran is existential. Iran could bomb a U.S. city. Americans must impoverish themselves to stop Iran from getting a nuke. A civilization will die tonight. Man in charge of the war, excuse me, I need to fly to a small Kentucky county to campaign against a Republican House member. Yeah, this is real America First in action right here, okay? Straight up. That's America First? That's your fucking movement, dude? I can't see a more Israel first moment for America first than this right here. Yeah, I feel dirty liking it. I'm unliking it now that I'm done looking at this fucking tweet.
Well, outstanding. It's wonderful to be here with all of you.
God, the audio is so busted. I wish so bad that Bibi himself would have come and done a speaking engagement. Yeah, I mean, obviously they won't go to that level because, let's be real, if they were to bring Benjamin Netanyahu there, then people would maybe wake up. But I don't even know anymore. I can see Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu fucking traveling around Kentucky stumping for Ed Galrain. And Kentuckians still being like, hell yeah, brother, that's right. United States of Israel. Am Israel high, sir. I love Israel. I want to make sure we spend all of our fucking tax dollars on Israel, baby. No, do not fix the potholes in Kentucky. Don't fix the infrastructure in Kentucky. Okay? I don't need a hospital in a 50-mile radius. Excuse me, sir. Does it seem like I need a hospital in a 50-mile radius, sir? I'm not an anti-Semite. This is what I care about. Donald Trump told me it's anti-Semitic. No, thank you, I say. Am Israel high? That's right. Let's get back to the story about Representative Massie facing a Trump-backed primary challenge.
Is drawing a whole lot of attention. Republican Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky is a frequent critic of President Trump, and now he is literally fighting for his political life because of big money donations from the president's wealthiest allies. Ed O'Keefe is following all of this in Kentucky. Ed, good morning to you. The poll numbers do not look good for Mr. Massie this morning.
Yeah, good to see you. You know, after recent wins over fellow Republicans he considers his enemies in Indiana and Louisiana, Kentucky now is the latest stop on the president's political retribution tour. And as you mentioned, because of big spending by big outside groups, this is now the most expensive House primary in American history.
Massey's the worst congressman in the history of our country.
President Trump on Monday from the Oval Office, once again denouncing Republican Congressman Thomas Massie.
Always voting against Republicans and good values. So get rid of Thomas Massie.
The president and Massie have sparred for years on policy, but most recently on two things especially sensitive to Trump: the Jeffrey Epstein investigation and the war with Iran.
He's tweeted probably, 8 or 10 times in the last 72 hours. He's literally losing sleep over this race because he's in with both feet.
In a sign of how much the White House wants Massie gone, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth traveled to northern Kentucky Monday to support the congressman's challenger, former Navy SEAL Ed Gallrein.
Think about where we are in history right now. And you're having the Secretary of War coming here to little old Kentucky to see you today. Is that something?
Hegseth made a stop earlier in the day at a military base in Kentucky, but said he was appearing with Gallrein on his personal time.
There's nothing funnier than, first of all, I mean, this has to be illegal, right? Like, what the fuck are we doing? That's number one. Number two, nothing funnier than having a bunch of dumb fucks in a Kentucky military base be like, yeah, I'm going to go vote for the guy who's going to send me to war for Israel. If you do that, but yes, the Hatch Act is nothing, okay? It doesn't exist anymore. Forget about it. But also, yeah, using tax dollars to literally using tax dollars to fly to Kentucky to tell a bunch of chuds in the goddamn military that they should vote for the guy that Israel hand-selected that will absolutely vote to send you to war and die for Israel. Fantastic. Fan-fucking-tastic, dude. Yep, that's the real Americans right there, baby. Real Americans. Fucking hogs, man.
Thomas Massie has acted like his job is to stand apart from the movement that President Trump leads instead of strengthening it.
You don't send the Secretary of War to Kentucky during a war if you think your candidate is up 10 points. That's what you do when you realize your whole campaign is imploding.
This contest across a district that stretches from the suburbs of Louisville to northeastern parts of the state is now the most expensive House primary race in U.S. history, with more than $32 million spent, mostly by pro-Israel organizations and groups aligned with the president attacking Massie.
They tried to buy my vote for 14 years, and it was never for sale. Now they're trying to buy a seat here in Kentucky.
Kentucky Republicans today are also choosing their candidate to run to succeed the retiring Senator Mitch McConnell. There are also primaries today in Alabama, Georgia, Idaho, and Pennsylvania. Nate, if it's Tuesday, they're voting somewhere.
All right. Thomas Massie doesn't have a hope and a prayer to survive this primary. He does. It's because he has he does. I mean, it's a cult, but he actually does. That's all I'll say.
I did. Thank you.
It's true. Thomas Massie, a terrible congressman. Trump savages Kentucky Republican on primary day. For Donald Trump, this is part, trying to punish anyone that steps out of line. But it's also partially because he is a dog for Israel, okay? Donald Trump is a dog for Israel. He is a servile little puppy, okay? He will do anything and everything for his fucking masters, all right? This race is as expensive as it is, not just because Donald Trump is offended personally. I'm sure that plays a role as well, okay? But it's because when Israel says bark, Donald Trump yips, okay? He goes, yes, sir. Straight up.
In the primary with Thomas Massie and your endorsed candidate, do you think your candidate can beat him? And what are you seeing?
Yeah, Thomas Massie's a terrible congressman. He's been a terrible congressman from day one. Dealing with him is just horrible. I don't think he's a Republican. I think he's actually a Democrat. He's not a libertarian. You know, sometimes they say he's really a Democrat.
A Democrat.
He votes against us all the time. He voted against the border wall. He voted against men playing in women's sports. He voted against transgender for everybody, the mutilization of your children. He voted against, again, open borders. We have the best border we've ever had right now. Nobody's coming in. I mean, a report just came out. In the last 11 months, literally nobody has been allowed into our country illegally. We're taking people legally. They go through a process. But nobody's come into our country. But we've taken out hundreds of thousands of people. We had 11,888 murders. Many of these murders allowed into our country from prisons. They were in prisons.
Thomas Massey wants to do transgender for everybody. Thomas Massey wants to do Medicare for all. He's woke. He's a woke transgender himself. Listen, I need you to understand something, okay? You might think, wow, how dumb. Is this the kind of argument that works? And the answer to that scary question is yes. This is what works. Yeah. Thomas Massey wants illegals pouring over the borders, and he wants transgender for everybody. And that's exactly the type of shit that people actually eat. Okay, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Maybe he is. I think Trump is also trying to demonstrate that his coalition is behind him despite the Iran war and Epstein. They want to avoid any cracks in his iron grip over GOP voters because one crack could encourage more on top of the punishment and servility to Israel. Yes, that's why I'm saying this is a very impactful and very important race. You're absolutely correct. Thomas Massey wants everything computer and transgender everybody. HasanAbi, are numbers guys or for trans or against trans for all? Yes, I'm a numbers guy who is also for transgender everybody.
Many of these.
Imagine the crash out if Massey pulls it off. Oh God, he might just fucking have an aneurysm that turns him woke overnight.
These people killed more than 50% killed more than one person. This was gross malfeasance. This was on behalf of the Biden administration. I don't know Biden because I don't think he knew he was alive. But Kamala was the border czar. She never called, not one time, she never called the Border Patrol. She never called ICE. She never called law enforcement. She never went to the border. Think of it. I used to call every single day. And that's recently. Now I call less. We have nobody coming through. We had caravans coming through with tens of thousands of people pouring into our country. We had no idea who they were. We would have been, I'll tell you what, our country would have been destroyed. If they won this election, our country would have been, we have now the hottest country anywhere in the world. If they had won the election, our country would have been destroyed. Our country was a dead country 2 years ago, and now we have really the hottest country in the world. And this is the ballroom, and it's going to be something incredible. You see the quality of it, and they go right, those columns go right into the roof. And on top of the roof, we're going to have the greatest drone empire that you've ever seen, and it's going to protect Washington. Thank you all very much.
Well, today is primary election day in Pennsylvania. Voters across the Commonwealth will decide who will be on the ballot for the general election in November. Polls open in less than 90 minutes, as you can see there at 7 o'clock. Pennsylvania's 3rd congressional district race is the one to watch locally.
Let's go.
In addition to being highly competitive, political analysts say it could also offer
Chris
a glimpse
Rabb, baby.
into where
Chris
the Democratic
Rabb.
Party
Rabmentum.
is headed.
Rabmentum.
CBS News Philadelphia reporter Waukesha Bailey continues our voting coverage from
Today we're going to find out. So now that we talked about the cult in the Republican Party, there's also absolutely a machine politics that has 100% has funneled votes into the most wishy-washy corporate Democrats with entrenched power at the Democratic Party's base as well. Okay, this is a very important race. Chris Rabb is awesome. You guys know this. I've endorsed him. I stomped for him. and DSA Philadelphia, DSA in Pennsylvania is working tirelessly and has actually broken records in the state, knocking on doors. Okay? Chris Rabb is going against Sharif Street and Ayla Stanford in a district that is the bluest district in the country. Okay? This is a district that is a very black district, Pennsylvania 3. Okay? 51%. We're about to find out. I mean, and all three, obviously, of all three of the candidates are black as well, before people get confused. The rapture is upon us. Sharif Street has gotten all of the institutional Dem endorsements, labor unions. He's backed by Josh Shapiro. Chris Rabb, on the other hand, has gotten a lot of has picked up basically all the left flank, insurgent candidate endorsements. Obviously, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stumped for Rabb this past weekend. It's going to be a real test here. The primary is what matters in Philadelphia. The advantages that we have for Rabb obviously stem from the advantages that Rabb has stem from the fact that this is a primary, and therefore not a lot of people pay close attention to the primary. So you can actually be quite impactful if you are capable of activating low propensity voters, younger voters in general, which Rabb obviously has made a tremendous impact on. Many of you have canvassed for him, door knock for him in this community as well. Obviously, I'm still a little bit worried, as I talked about last night. And part of that is because the Democratic Party machine can just dial up the turnout on a lot of the older voters that love voting, that love going out and voting for whoever the mainstream candidate is, whoever the most conservative candidate is, whoever the Democratic establishment wants to win. And Sharif Street is that person. Sharif Street is pro-Israel. Sharif Street is pro-establishment Democrats, pro-corporate donations. Chris Rabb is everything Sharif Street is not. It's a different kind of politics. The kind of politics that I think would move this country in a better direction. Why him and not the AIPAC lady? I don't necessarily know why AIPAC's candidate in this race, because I guess Street is a little bit more critical of Israel than Stanford was. There's a heat wave taking over Pennsylvania. Hopefully that causes some of the older voters to stay home and not vote. So we shall see. It's very hot in Pennsylvania. Having said that, it's not, I mean, polls have shown Chris Rabb actually narrowly winning this three-way race. However, the Democratic Party in the state has actually pulled a bunch of nasty little tricks. Robocalls, spamming text messages without actually showing where those text messages were coming from. Text messages that even included my name in them, apparently. Connecting Chris Rabb to anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, connecting him to myself. And the turnout machine, let's see if the turnout machine works here, okay? Because the Unk Guard and the Aunt Guard, specifically black aunties and uncles, are the backbone of the Democratic Party. They turn out in the general, and they certainly turn out in the primaries as well. If the Unk Guard, that is the vanguard of the Democratic Party's base of support for entrenched power, remains strong, if we are incapable of out-organizing and out-door knocking the Unk Guard, then Street will win the race. Now let's get back to Donald Trump, everyone's favorite president, Donald Trump, and his endorsement of Ken motherfucking Paxton.
News, Tim, for you. Donald J. Trump on Truth Social, and it's pretty long, has posted that he is endorsing in the Texas Senate runoff Ken Paxton. No huge surprise. The incumbent, John Cornyn, said just yesterday that,
Why doesn't
that ship
this...
has sailed. He was not expecting the endorsement. Wow. But it's interesting when you, and I've only skimmed it, to be fair, because it was just handed to me. He called Ken a true MAGA warrior who has always delivered for Texas. It's not until paragraph 4 he brings up John Cornyn, where he says, he's a good man. I worked well with him, but he was not supportive of me when times were tough, which is pretty much Donald Trump's decision-making in a nutshell. Yeah. Support me or else.
Bro, I'm sorry, but this is exciting. Okay? I posted so many vague threats against Ken Paxton last summer that a surveillance drone came and checked me out. What the fuck are you admitting to, chatter? We do not co-sign on that. That's what the fuck are you talking about, dude? That's crazy. I disavowed that. Okay, what are you doing? There's literally Fox News producers in my fucking chat. I have banned, to the Fox News producers, we have banned that guy. We disavow it. We banned it. It's not, yeah. All right, moving on.
John Cornyn is somebody who just had more of a bipartisan flair up on Capitol Hill. He liked to work with Democrats. He supported more of those bipartisan deals. He voted for them. He helped craft them, working with his colleagues. And he was a bit skeptical of President Trump's comeback. So it just shows that sort of this is what Thomas Massie's going through. It's what Bill Cassidy just went through. It's what those Indiana state senators are going through. That in this modern day Republican Party, if you are not completely in lockstep with President Trump, there could be some of these repercussions. Clearly, that happened in Indiana. It happened in Louisiana. It's happening right now in Texas. That's what Thomas Massie is trying to show doesn't always have to be the case. But as we're seeing, this seems to be the political gravity right now in the Republican Party. So just a fascinating development that President Trump had pushed off for so long. And again, a really big blow for Republican leadership up on Capitol Hill right now. Folks who were really pressing President Trump's team to go with a Cornyn endorsement. Obviously, the news right now that he has gone with a Paxton endorsement.
And so I do think it sends a message, but really not just the
Amy
endorsement,
McGrath?
but one of the things the president has done very effectively, going back 10 years in his leadership of the Republican Party and the country as President of the United States, is he said, I want people who fight for...
I'm done. I mean, it's early. It's too soon to tell, but God damn it! Fuck you! Fuck you, Democratic primary voters! Fuck you! What? What the hell is going on? It's 3%, I know. That means 5,317 Kentucky primary voters were like, oh my God, Amy McGrath? That's awesome. She has a real shot this time. Let's give her $10 more million. This is Amy McGrath.
A gay woman drunk
this is also kind of interesting because so Trump endorsed Andy Barr. You might be wondering why Trump endorsed Andy Barr. That's because Daniel Cameron is the former Republican Attorney General of the state, and Daniel Cameron was Mitch McConnell's personally groomed candidate for this seat. Okay? And Donald Trump fucking hates Mitch McConnell. So he's like, fuck you, Daniel Cameron. George Washington is the first president of the United States. Hope this helps. Thank you. You're saying you don't know the big GW on the 250th anniversary? Jesus. Yeah. But it's good. It's good because Daniel Cameron is a fucking demon. Okay? Daniel Cameron famously, as the Attorney General of the state of Kentucky, overturned a ballot measure that was supposed to constitutionally enshrine abortion access and abortion protection for the fucking state. Genuine demonic entity. Galrain won. I don't think we know yet.
We've been working overtime since August of last year, since we launched this race, and we've talked about my record in the state house.
Daniel
and what we've done in the
Camry,
General Assembly,
Daniel
and
Camaro,
certainly what I
stop
plan to do in
it!
Congress and work alongside the president. But his endorsement has been an incredible
Thomas
boost to
Chassis?
our race, and we feel really good about where we are. We're looking forward to seeing results come in here any minute, and looking forward to winning this thing and having the opportunity to go to Congress and work alongside the president.
Chris Rabb, HasanAbi bump. Yes, Toyota RAV4. Chris
We
RAV4.
too, sir, are eager for the results to come in, and we've got Steve Kornacki at the board watching it all. I wonder, though, and listen, I totally take the point that, tonight the California Fair Police.
Anyway, let's see what Kornacki's saying.
County in this district, Boone County, right outside Cincinnati. Almost a quarter of the vote is going to come out of Boone County tonight, and we got more than a third of the vote from that county, and you can see Galrine here leading that by about a 14 and a half point margin over Massey.
It's
You're
over.
looking at early vote. You are now looking at some of the election day vote here, too, so this is now a little bit of a mix of these two things we've been talking about. Not a huge difference between those two chunks of vote, and what that's done district-wide is it's moved Galrine into a 14-point advantage, but I think more significantly, we said at the start of the night, again, the supreme importance of these three metro Cincinnati counties here, especially to Massey. The idea here that they were sort of a different brand, they're very Republican, but a different brand of Republican, a more libertarian brand, one that might be more willing to forgive sort of the places where he's departed from Trump and the Republican Party. But the results we're getting so far from Boone County, you see it right here. That's a big chunk of the vote that's now in Boone County, and next door from Kenton County, where we got about a quarter of the vote. Those are not the numbers that Massey wants to see right there. We also did get a little bit more vote in. Now, this is a smaller part of the district right here, but in Spencer County, again, this is the part of the district we said demographically would be more pro-Trump. Is delivering for Galrine. That's not a surprise there, but that's the mix in this district. You've got some metro areas around Louisville.
This is the Republican cattle side of the equation. Later in the night, we'll find out if Democrats are hogs too. Israel bought yet another seat successfully, by the way. Fuck American democracy at this point. It's over.
13.
Mary Madelson has spent so much money on my election, they're going to have to scale down that ballroom that she was paying for, and she was born in Israel.
Yeah.
That's the rhetoric today from Massey.
This is an experiment.
Oh my God. They're talking about how anti-Semitic it is.
Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly, they're trying this out. And I think they each have their reasons. I think they're looking over at the left and seeing some of the division in the country over the issue of Gaza. I think it's much more prominent and fracturing on the left than it is on the right, but they're looking at that. I think some people like Tucker Carlson is trying to find a Trump alternative lane because I think he's
there is no fracture on the left. Liberals are united. It's a 90-10 issue. You can't say it's fracturing if it's 90-10. It's just the voters versus the politicians. Shut the fuck up. The only fracture is between the voters and the elected.
This one's important because Trump had endorsed Andy Barr. This is Mitch McConnell's seat that he's retiring from. And again, Van, this is the Trump-supported candidate. We'll see what happens in Texas tonight, right, with that very late jump in against Cornyn for Paxton by Trump. But this is another victory for Trump here.
Yeah, and but Barr was particularly adept at keeping the McConnell people with him. That was the thing that I thought was interesting, that he can actually, he's a very good politician, because, and some people wanted to make it be kind of McConnell, the establishment versus Trump. He split the baby and was able to pull it off. And so, yes, it's a big win for Trump, but also it's a win for Trump for somebody who also showed real respect, as much respect as you can, to McConnell in a state where McConnell's no longer popular.
And we've got obviously lots of results here in just a few moments. We're going to be going through what we're seeing coming in.
No, it's because Mitch McConnell was too woke for Kentucky, where he thought his groomed, his like personally hand-selected and groomed candidate is a black man. Okay, it's not even that for the most part. The reason why it's fucking Barr is because it's Trump. Okay, that's like, look at that. Mitch McConnell's own hand-selected guy, who was the motherfucking attorney general in the state, can't even break 30%. Wow. Mitch McConnell was an institution in this goddamn state that his fucking carcass put 30 points on Amy McGrath. Okay, his goddamn carcass put 30 points on Amy McGrath, even though Amy McGrath had outraised Mitch McConnell by $30 million. It's a goddamn cult, man. It is a goddamn cult. That's it.
But there's another massive open space, too, which is underserved, which is the angry middle, right? The 45% of America that's unaffiliated and independent, millions that can't vote in these primaries, are fed up with all. The question is, does Massey leave the party? Does someone like Don Bacon leave the party? Does someone on the left like Jaron Golden leave the party? Because there is a huge middle that is longing for people to run against both parties, and the broken primary system, which accelerates, I think 90% of congressional campaigns are over after the primary, 80% of Senate campaigns. So most of the state in Kentucky didn't even vote, and they have a new congressman potentially that they had no say in. That's broken.
Bro, it's over. It's fucking over. I don't even know what they're counting at this point.
I'm going to pop out for a little bit.
Bro.
Wages. Now, there's some counties in America where that's not true.
Israel, alongside Donald Trump, because this isn't just about Israel, it's also Donald Trump as well. But the reason why Donald Trump is at odds with Thomas Massey is because of Israel, because Donald Trump is a fucking dog to Israel, okay? Israel has bought yet another fucking congressional seat. Straight up. I don't think they have that same motion in the Democratic primaries anymore. But it's very clear that they still, by way of Donald Trump, have a complete stranglehold on Republicans. It's not going to change anything at the legislative level because I mean, they lose one vote. Like, Israel has bought another vote for Congress, right? But it is in fucking sanity how brazen it is. It proves, once again, that these guys are cattle, that Republican voters in Kentucky are just straight up in a cult.
Massey campaign headquarters, because you're up to 20%.
King is so uncomfortable, it's kind of funny.
They're telling me if I just want to take a break, I can just say I want to take a break. Now, it's hot in here, so you see me sweating a little bit. But I don't need to take a break. 7:40 is my next hit on EBUF. That's a whole 15 minutes. What do you guys want to do? You want to go for a beer? It's one of the things we talk about. Probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. One of the things we talk about all the time. People think this, it's not really magic, right? It's not really magic, but we think like if it was really magic, the martini dispenser or...
Oh my God, John King is so uncomfortable doing a live stream. Kornacki is such a numbers autist that he can just go for hours. John King is like, I'm shaking a little bit. It's over. It has never been more over than ever before. I don't think that a Democrat can ever win another Republican voter as long as Trump is alive.
I think as I travel around the state running for governor as a proud Democrat, folks are wanting to talk about issues that Donald Trump and other Republicans aren't talking about. The affordability crisis, the health care crisis, and yes, the Donald Trump crisis, which even Republicans agree is a crisis at this point.
So you're one of the main Democratic candidates for governor in Georgia. Obviously, it's a very crowded field. We've just got early numbers coming in. Obviously, Keisha Lance Bottoms is way ahead on these early numbers, 66%. You're on the board there. Trump has called you out as a failed former lieutenant governor. He's called you a total lightweight. He's called you a total loser, all of which is obviously consistent with words he uses to describe opponents or people who've challenged him. Has that helped you out at all in this race?
Yeah, everywhere I go, I get, pats on the back, thanks for your courage to stand up to Donald Trump. And the reality is almost everybody that I meet would have done exactly the same thing. Most people don't wake up wanting to tell bold-faced lies about an election or try to steal an election or be willing to embrace conspiracy theories that make no sense. And so that's certainly been part of the story. But I think it's also about we all need to have more political courage in this tough moment. I mean, Donald Trump is the worst decision this country's ever made. And even Republicans are figuring that out firsthand. And so we've got to have honest umpires that show up and be able to call balls and strikes, right? In Georgia, expanding Medicaid is a must. Republicans have lost the narrative. I was on the other side of this argument for a number of years, and I was wrong. The same with affordability crisis.
They're
we can no
winning in
longer
deep blue
demonize
districts.
poverty. We've got to figure out ways and solutions to.
Democratic-backed judicial candidates are in a difficult position. Warren is winning a D plus 52. Douglas County dropped by 15 points, suggesting the late effort to inform Democratic voters, including Obama's involvement, did not translate into enough support. What the fuck? Dude, the Democrats, man. Wow. I mean, what do I say? What do I say? I mean, they have literally all the advantages, dude. They have literally every advantage. This shows a severe lack of investment in basic political education, given that nonpartisan races in other states easily track one-to-one with partisanship. Abrams left the Georgia Democratic Party a complete trash heap. The exact same thing happened with Barrow in 2024. This has been a known problem for years now. Democratic-backed judicial candidates were, I guess, they didn't inform the voters fast enough or well enough. I don't understand. Yo, Trump is right, dude. It is the Democrats. It is the motherfucking Democrats, bro.
I think, a few things that are happening here. You do have a challenge now in both parties. America's great because of free markets, rule of law, and if you're a hard worker, you're welcome here no matter what your color is. Well, look, you've got now some of the Democratic Party want to move away from free markets. You talk about Mamdani, they're moving towards socialism. You have some people in the Republican Party who are so nativist, they don't even want skilled immigrants. They're mad at Indians, tech workers coming over here. So you're starting to see people in both parties moving away from the things that used to be pretty strong. And so it does give people not that many places to go. You're an independent.
The only thing less popular than Donald Trump is the Democratic Party. And the future is SE Cup. The future is the 45% of Americans
oh my God,
who
shut
are
the fuck.
unaffiliated.
Why is this guy? Get him off the stage. CNN, who does this serve? There is no such thing. Okay? There is no independent run. It's not real. Shut the fuck up. There is no moderate centrist voter. It's not real. What voters perceive as being moderate is not whatever this fucking asshole is talking about. Okay? What voters perceive as moderate is Zohran Mamdani. What voters perceive as moderate used to be Donald Trump. Q was right. Look at the front runner for lieutenant governor in Georgia. Yeah. Where is lieutenant governor? Josh McLaurin. Wait. Keep going. John Fitzgerald Kennedy? What the fuck? John Fitzgerald Caridi, he's back? Wow. They're going to dig that poor man out of the ground for this?
They are the heroes of television. They really are. Everything you see at home, I'm just the guy. I'm sorry for the tie, actually. I wouldn't wear a tie on this normally, but I have to do the TV thing, the dinosaur TV thing. It's a joke. But it's the people who are on television, you know our names for better or worse. You know our faces for better or worse. Some days you like us, some days you don't. That's fine. I get it completely. But I hope you understand just the same place you work, too.
Oh, my God. He is not all right, dude. Just get this man off the fucking... Get this man off the TV. He's falling apart.
He doesn't make a fast decision, so he's watched this. He said he was going to endorse after the first primary.
In the state of Georgia, the 14th District, Clay Fuller projected to win Republican House seat 14. This was Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. Not a surprise. He, of course, won a special election, Hallie. This is what we would...
Right. And when you talk about possibility versus probability, and obviously you look at right now with, say, 49% of the vote in, what does it take to turn around? I mean, it has been Gallrein up from the very beginning in terms of the numbers we've gotten, right? It isn't as if it's been going back and forth or anything like that. But you get to a certain point where it becomes mathematically impossible. When you're looking at 49% of the vote in, how close are you to that?
Yeah, so I leave mathematically impossible to the very talented people who work on the CNN political desk, and I don't want them coming up here, and telling me, don't get too far out over your skis. But I also trust my experience and my instincts here as you go through it. And so now we just hit 60%. Right, we just hit 60%, Aaron. So you're talking at 49%. Well, we just came up to 60%, and now you've got an 8-point race right now. Again, possible? Yes. Probable? The probability window is closing. As that number goes up, if that number doesn't start to shrink...
It's over. The Republican Party... Look, the thing that I was looking to find out tonight was whether or not Republicans would actually behave in this incredibly cultish way, or if there was any opportunity for a fissure in the base. It's not. There is none. I think the jank theory is busted. I'll be honest with you. I didn't place a lot of confidence in that theory to begin with. Okay. It's just a cult, 100%. And it's not, there's no ideological, there's no ideology backing this cult. It's just whatever Donald Trump wants. And right now, Donald Trump is pro-Israel, pro-Jeffrey Epstein, and so is the base of Republicans. Still, 46% of Republicans voted against Trump's word. That isn't nothing. Nah. No way. That's cope. It's Jover. It's so Jover.
Ideal. So I think it's we can see where this thing is going. I think it's very unhealthy for the country.
All right, well, we'll take a pause here. We're going to be coming back as more of these results coming in, getting more coming in from Kentucky. And Harry Anton is...
I don't ever want to hear from any Democrat about winning a fucking goddamn Republican voter over and conceding on right-wing culture war framing ever again for the rest of my life. Okay? Just so you know, in 2010, the entire Republican Party spent $178 million for the general election at the congressional level. $30 million from one primary is so insane. I don't even know what to say. Yeah. You do know what to say, and so do I. It's Am Israel High, folks. That's what it is, okay? Israel, tiny nation. Israel, number one nation. Israel, number one. America, not even number two. That's it. Am Israel High. What can you say? Like, the scale of the money growth is making everything so crazy and people are falling for it. How do we get boomers? They're just so nihilistic. I don't know. 30 million spent, 1/3 of it from Israel. What an incredible moment, dude. Like, doing this amidst a energy crisis that was born out of the America First president and his intense investment into Israeli foreign policy. Like, we are Americans are paying more at the pump directly because of Israel. Okay? And the Republicans that are paying more at the pump directly because of Israel still turned around and went, nah, actually, fuck this guy who's against that. What do you say to that? Yeah, AIPAC already fucking gloating. Congratulations to U.S. Navy SEAL Ed Galbraith for defeating anti-Israel incumbent Thomas Massey. Pro-Israel Americans are proud to back candidates who support a strong America-Israel alliance. Being pro-Israel is good policy and good politics. Fuck! They're farting on us! Yeah, notice any trend with the most expensive congressional races? It seems like there's a trend. I wonder how that happened. 34 million. Thomas Massey versus Galbraith. Jamal Berman versus Latimer, 25 million. These are primaries, okay?
And we were able to go toe-to-toe. There was never a week that we got outspent more than 2-1 in this entire race once it got underway. And that's
remember,
also,
guys, this doesn't mean that Ken Paxton has it in the fucking bag, though, because the rest of the country despises these fucking freaks, okay? It's an increasingly shrinking base of cult-like support, okay? But there's a limit to it. If the opposition is strong enough, they can win, okay? As it stands currently, until Donald Trump decides he's going to put armed ICE agents at every fucking polling station who not only ask for your papers, but your voter affiliation, which could happen. And Democrats could just turn around and say, what are we going to do? Oh, no, we have to vote extra hard next time. I know they're shooting us at the fucking polling station, but we're going to vote. Vote harder. But remember, the Republican Party is gone, okay? It's over. It's done. There is no, I'm a Trump supporter, but also I don't really fuck with Israel. I'm done listening to this shit, okay? I'm done listening to this shit. As long as Trump is around, he is God, okay? Trump is perceived as a fucking deity. Trump is perceived as a godlike figure. The Idaho primaries were the first inclination that people don't give a fuck about any personal opinion whatsoever. They don't have any ideological standing. It's only Trump. Trump is God. Okay? And then we saw the fucking Louisiana race. Third place, dude. Incumbent getting into third place. There is no anti-war right. It's fucking over. Okay? There is no anti-Israel right. There's no anti-war right. As long as Donald Trump is the president, as long as Donald Trump stays pro-Israel, this party is pro-Israel. As long as Donald Trump is pro-war, this party is pro-war. Progressives in the party won't withhold votes or do anything to ban corporate PACs. It's been 10 years since Bernie run. He's going to be dead in a couple of years. Yeah, it's incredible. Isn't Massey getting 45% important, though? Trump candidate won is true, but not with a landslide. Dude, what do you mean? This is a fucking landslide, dude. What are you talking about? Anything but a decisive victory for Thomas Massey implies that there is no base of support. There is no fucking base of support for anything but Trump. That's it. That's where we're at. You're talking 10 points, by the way. That is a fucking landslide. He won by a landslide. The fact that it wasn't even a close race for Massey implies it's so gone. Remember, like I've said already, the first test was whether or not the Republican Party is a fucking cult, and they will just go whichever way the money tells them to go. This was proven to be true. They are the pro-Epstein, pro-pedophilia, pro-Israel, pro-Trump cult. That's what the Republicans are. The second test will be in Pennsylvania, 3rd District. Okay? Pro-Israel is on the side of both Sharif Street and Stanford. Okay? Yeah. Big mistake for Thomas Massey running an expressly anti-pedophilia ticket in the grand old pedophiles party. what else can you fucking say? Hopefully the Democrats, the Democratic voters, and the DSA machine will deliver a decisive victory for Chris Rabb today. Very excited to see that. God damn, it's hard to fucking stay hopeful in this fucking country. It's crazy. It's insane. Anyway, love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Stunning